Disston built the best handsaws in the world, and it built them in Philadelphia. In 1855, it became the first company in America to make its own saw steel, and at its peak, it was turning out more than 5 million saws a year, the largest saw manufacturer the world had ever seen. Then the family sold out, and in the 1970s, the Disston name landed in the hands of a Swedish steel giant. The American-made Disston handsaw quietly disappeared. Today, only 3 brands still make a real handsaw on American soil: Lie-Nielsen in Maine, Bad Axe Tool Works in Wisconsin, and Gramercy Tools in Brooklyn. And every one of them was built by someone who refused to do what Disston did. This is the story of how America's saw king was sold off, and the 3 shops still filing saws by hand instead of shipping the work overseas. Henry Disston landed in Philadelphia as a teenager, and he opened his own saw shop in 1840. Within 15 years, he'd done something no American had managed. In 1855, he brought steel workers over from England and started making his own saw steel, the first crucible saw steel ever produced in the United States. Until then, American sawmakers leaned on British steel, most of it forged in Sheffield, England, which was then the saw-making capital of the world. Sheffield had supplied the American market for generations, and Disston cut that cord. He didn't just make the saws, he made the steel they were cut from. When other American sawmakers were still placing orders across the Atlantic, Disston was pouring his own crucible steel in Philadelphia. By 1872, he was building a factory with no equal anywhere on Earth. The Tacony Works grew into a 64-building complex on the Delaware River, and around it, Disston raised an entire town, with houses for his workers, a school for their children, a library, even a music hall. Thousands of people drew a paycheck from Disston, and at its peak, the plant was stamping out more than 5 million saws and blades every single year. For the better part of a century, if you picked up a handsaw in America, it said Disston on the blade. Carpenters trusted it, farmers trusted it. It was the saw in the toolbox, the saw hanging in the barn, the saw your grandfather handed down. Disston wasn't a brand, it was the standard. And standards, it turns out, are exactly the kind of thing that gets sold. The selling started in 1955. After 115 years, the Disston family let go, and the company was bought by the H.K. Porter Company of Pittsburgh, a sprawling industrial conglomerate that collected American manufacturing names the way other companies collected real estate. On paper, it was still Disston. In practice, the family that had obsessed over every blade was gone, and the saw became just another line item on someone else's balance sheet. Then came the part that stings. In the 1970s, the Disston name, the name of the company that had freed America from Sheffield Steel, was sold to Sandvik, a steel giant from Sweden. Let that sink in for a second. The first American firm ever to make its own saw steel ended up owned by a foreign steelmaker. And Sandvik didn't nurse the old handsaw line back to health. By the 1980s, it was quietly shut down, and the classic American Disston handsaw, the one in 10 million toolboxes, simply stopped being made. The name didn't vanish completely, and this is where people get confused. A company called Disston Precision still cuts industrial steel in Philadelphia today, and a separate outfit called Disston Tools sells power tool blades, some stamped out in Massachusetts, some made in China. But the thing that made Disston, a real American-made, hand-finished saw you'd stake your work on, that was over. The giant didn't die in a fire or a bankruptcy. It was sold, piece by piece, until there was nothing left to sell but the letters on the label. But somebody kept making the real thing. 3 shops, and that's it. The first is Lie-Nielsen, out of Warren, Maine. Thomas Lie-Nielsen started it in 1981 with a simple, almost stubborn idea. He'd take the best tools of the golden age, the ones antique dealers were charging a fortune for, and just make them again, properly, in America. Not reproductions, the real thing, built to the old standard. 4 decades later, it's still family-owned, and still small, a modest crew working out of an 8,000-square-foot shop on the Maine coast. The castings come from New England foundries, the wood comes from Maine sawyers, and the saws are cut, filed, and fitted by hand in that same building. Lie-Nielsen is best known for its planes, but its backsaws, the dovetail, the carcass, the tenon, are the kind of tool a woodworker buys once and wills to somebody. Here's the quiet irony. The blade steel is Swedish, which means the saw carrying the American torch runs the same steel that bought out Disston. But there's a difference that matters. Sandvik shut the handsaw line down, and Lie-Nielsen keeps it alive, 1 blade at a time, hardened to 52 on the Rockwell hardness scale. That's a standard measurement of how resistant a steel is to deformation. And 52 is the sweet spot where a saw holds its edge without becoming brittle. Disston made 5 million saws a year. Lie-Nielsen makes the kind you only ever need 1 of. The second brand ties this whole story in a knot. It's called Bad Axe Tool Works, out of Superior, Wisconsin, and it was started in 2009 by a man named Mark Harrell. Before he ever filed a saw, Harrell spent 28 years in the Army, much of it in the Special Forces. He came home from Afghanistan, retired, and started sharpening saws alongside his wife, and that turned into building them. Here's the part that matters. When Harrell designed his saws, he didn't invent a new pattern. He went back and studied the old American masters, Simons, Wheeler Madden Clemson, and above all, Henry Disston and Sons. Bad axe saws are built on Disston's own 19th century designs. Let that land for a second. The giant sold itself to Sweden, and a Green Beret in Wisconsin quietly picked the blueprints back up. The DNA Disston abandoned didn't die. It moved to a workshop on Lake Superior. These are not tools you grab off a shelf. Every bad axe saw is made to order, with Swedish spring steel, quarter-sawn white oak handles, and teeth filed by hand to the pitch and rake you ask for. The wait runs 3 to 8 weeks, because there's a real person making the thing. If you can't wait, they'll sell you one of the ready-made saws sitting in the shop. Either way, you're buying the saw Disston used to make, from the people who refused to let it go. The third survivor doesn't fit the picture you'd expect. It isn't tucked into the woods of Maine or planted on a Great Lake, it's in Brooklyn. Gramercy Tools is the house brand of tools for working wood, a shop run by a man named Joel Moskowitz, who named it after the little park near where he lived. Moskowitz didn't come at saws as a factory man. He came at them as a historian. His team digs through old patterns and old techniques, then builds saws that improve on them by hand, right there in the city. The Gramercy dovetail saw is a bit of a legend among woodworkers. It's designed specifically for cutting dovetail joints, the interlocking corner joinery that's been the mark of quality hand-cut furniture for centuries. A whisper-thin plate, filed aggressive, light enough that it feels like it's cutting itself. It runs about $240, which tells you everything about where these three brands sit. Disston's whole game was volume. 5 million saws a year, one in every toolbox. Gramercy's game is the opposite. A real American-made backsaw, built one at a time in Brooklyn for the price of a decent power tool. 3 shops: Maine, Wisconsin, New York. That's the entire list of companies still making a real American handsaw. And everything else is history, or an import. So here's where we land. Disston didn't lose to a better saw, and it didn't lose to China. It lost to the balance sheet, sold by its own family, passed to Pittsburgh, handed to Sweden, and finally switched off in the 1980s like a light nobody needed anymore. The company that gave America its own steel, that broke Sheffield's grip on the American market, ended up as a logo on someone else's blades. But the saw itself, the real one, the American-made one, never actually died. It just got smaller and quieter, and it moved to a shop in Maine, a workshop in Wisconsin, a bench in Brooklyn. 3 brands, a few dozen people, making by hand what a giant once stamped out by the million. That's the strange lesson in all of this. When a company that big sells out, it doesn't take the craft with it. The craft just waits for someone stubborn enough to pick it back up. Disston built the best handsaws in the world, and then it let them go. These 3 refused to, and that's exactly why they're the ones still standing.